Welcome guys to another, I hope you're doing great. In this video we're going to share with you this book called, Don't Feel Failure. Without any long talk, sit back and relax. Preface, Don't Feel Failure. Failure has a unique way of entering our life. It rarely knocks, rarely announces itself, rarely gives us the decency of preparation. It arrives suddenly, sometimes quietly, sometimes violently, and when it does, it leaves its mark, not on the world around us, but on the inside of our heart. This book was born from those internal marks. Most of us learn to fear failure long before we understand success. We learn it in classrooms where mistakes are punished. We learn it in families where expectations stand taller than love. We learn it in societies that only celebrate winners and bury the stories of those who stumbled. But what if everything we've been taught about failure is incomplete? What if failure is not an enemy, but a direction? Not a judgment, but a message? Not an end, but a beginning disguised in difficult clothing? This book is not here to flatter you, nor to throw empty positive affirmations. It is written for the real moments. The moments when you lie in bed questioning your value, you feel you've disappointed yourself, the world seems to move while you remain stuck, you fear the next step because the last one hurt too much, you start doubting if life still holds something meaningful for you. I have walked through those moments. You have walked through them. Every human being, regardless of strength or confidence, has tasted the bitterness of a loss, a mistake, a collapse, a broken dream. But here is the truth, failure does not define you. What defines you is how you speak to yourself afterward. This book is not about avoiding failure. It is about not feeling like a failure. There is a difference. Feeling like a failure is a wound. Actual failure is an event. Events pass. Wounds heal. But identity is chosen. This book invites you to choose differently. It invites you to rethink the meaning of success, reinterpret your scars, transform your disappointments, rewrite the story you tell yourself, and most importantly, to treat yourself with the gentleness you have denied for too long. Let me be clear, you are not broken, you are not behind, you are not lost, you are not weak, you are not late, you are not defined by any moment when life hit you harder than you expected. You are human, you are learning, you are evolving, you are still becoming who you were meant to be. And that is enough. I wrote this book with one silent wish, that somewhere, in the middle of these pages, you find the permission you never received, to rise without shame, to try without fear, and to live without carrying the weight of every mistake you ever made. You do not have to feel failure ever again. Let this book be the beginning of that freedom. Fear is an ancient feeling. It existed long before language, before civilization, before human beings understood themselves. Fear was once a warning system for survival, a shadow moving behind you, the growl in the night, the instinct that told you when to run. But as the world changed, fear didn't disappear, it evolved. Now it hides in modern forms. Fear of failure, fear of not being worthy, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. We no longer run from tigers, we run from ourselves. Fear is not your enemy, it is your oldest companion. It has walked with humanity since the beginning of time. It sits quietly in your chest, watching every step you take. It wants to protect you, but it doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a dream. This is why fear reacts the same way too. The idea of starting a business, the thought of confessing your feelings to someone, the desire to change your life, the possibility of doing something new. To fear, all of those are danger. Fear wants comfort, not growth. Fear wants survival, not evolution. And that's where the conflict begins. Have you ever noticed the voice in your mind that whispers, what if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? What if people laugh at you? What if you're not good enough? That voice is fear talking. But here is the hidden truth. Fear sounds like you, but it is not you. It steals your tone. It steals your doubts. It steals your memories of the past. Fear is a superb mimic. It pretends to be your logical self, but it is nothing more than instinct dressed as intelligence. The moment you learn to separate your true self from your fear voice, your life changes. People don't suffer from fear itself, they suffer from being attached to fear. You believe your fearful thoughts. You treat them like truth. You let them define who you are. But fear is only a feeling, a temporary visitor. When you attach your identity to it, you imprison yourself. A wise person once said, thoughts are not facts. Feelings are not commands. Fear is allowed to appear, you just don't have to obey it. Imagine fear as a map. Wherever your fear is pointing, it means something important lies there, growth, possibility, transformation, new beginnings. Fear appears exactly at the border between who you are and who you could become. It is not blocking the path, it is highlighting it. You do not fear what doesn't matter. You only fear what could change you. So the question becomes, if fear marks the doorway of evolution, why do we run from it? Because the doorway is dark. Because the outcome is uncertain. Because your mind prefers the familiar pain over the unfamiliar future. But every version of yourself you wish to become is waiting behind that doorway. When you dig deeper, you discover something surprising. People aren't afraid of failing. They are afraid of feeling shame. Shame is heavier than fear. Shame says, you are not good enough. Something is wrong with you. If you fail, it means you are a failure. This is the lie that destroys confidence. When shame controls you, every risk feels dangerous. But here is the liberating truth. Failing at something doesn't make you a failure. It makes you human. The world's greatest minds failed repeatedly. Einstein was dismissed as slow. Edison failed 1,000 times. J.K. Rowling was rejected 12 times. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. Picasso destroyed thousands of paintings. What made them great was not talent, but the courage to walk through fear without being owned by it. Fear shows you what you value. You fear losing something because it matters. You fear failing because your dreams matter. You fear judgment because belonging matters. You fear the unknown because meaning matters. Fear is never random. It is a mirror reflecting your deepest desires. If you truly felt nothing toward a goal, you wouldn't fear failing at it. Your fear is proof that something inside you is calling for expression. Too many people shape their entire future based on fear. They avoid opportunities. They stay in unhealthy relationships. They stay quiet when they want to speak. They shrink when they want to expand. They choose the safe route even when it suffocates them. Fear becomes their compass, not their wisdom. But fear does not know the future. Fear only knows the past. It scans your history and predicts disaster. But you are not your past. You are the possibility of who you can become. You cannot kill fear, but you can redefine the relationship. Instead of fighting it, running from it, denying it, you can learn to walk with it. Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is moving even when fear moves with you. Fear walks beside you. Courage walks within you. You get to choose which one guides your steps. The psychology of failing forward. Why some people break and others rise. If you place two people in the same storm, they do not suffer the same. One feels shattered, the other strengthened. One collapses beneath the weight, the other walks with heavier steps but continues. Why? Because what breaks us is not the event, it is the interpretation. Failure itself is neutral. It is our meaning making that hurts or heals. Some minds turn setbacks into prisons. Others turn them into doors. To fail forward means to understand this difference deeply, to recognize how your psychology shapes your reality long before events do. This chapter explores the hidden mechanisms inside you, the ones deciding whether failure becomes a stopping point or a stepping stone. Inside every person, there are two voices. The fear voice. This voice is ancient, wired for survival, obsessed with safety. It tells you, don't try again. Stay small. Avoid risk. You can't handle another failure. You were never capable anyway. It speaks in absolutes, in warnings, in catastrophes. It tries to protect you, but protection becomes imprisonment when it never lets you move. The courage voice. This voice is softer, harder to hear. It whispers instead of shouting. Maybe try one more time. This pain is teaching me something. I am not done yet. I survived worse. Even if I'm afraid, I can still take a step. This voice does not eliminate fear, it walks alongside it. To fail forward is to strengthen this second voice until it becomes your default way of thinking. Failure always attacks one thing first, your sense of self. If you believe, I succeed because I'm talented, then failure will feel like losing your talent. But if you believe, I succeed because I'm persistent, failure becomes a simple checkpoint on a long journey. People who succeed over time do not have fewer failures, they just never let failure define them. Their identity is built not on perfection, but on evolution. When you say, I am someone who learns, failure becomes fuel. When you say, I am someone who must always be right, failure becomes death. Your resilience is not in your skills, it is in your identity. Your brain interprets failure as danger. Not emotional danger, physical danger. This is because, in ancient humanity, failure meant death. Failure to hunt meant starvation, failure to belong meant exile, failure to protect meant extinction. Your nervous system still reacts the same way today. That is why your heart races. Why your stomach tightens. Why your breathing becomes shallow. Why your mind spirals into worst-case scenarios. You think you are overreacting, but your brain is simply ancient. To fail forward, you must remind yourself, this failure is uncomfortable, not dangerous. When you remind your body that you are safe, your mind becomes capable of learning instead of panicking. Comparison magnifies failure more than the failure itself. You think, everyone my age is ahead. Everyone else is stable. Everyone else is confident. Everyone else knows what they're doing. But you see only the finished products of others, never the private battles, doubts, or breakdowns behind their progress. Everyone carries a hidden story of mistakes, and many hide it well. You are not the exception, you are the rule. The moment you understand this, your relationship with failure changes. You stop thinking you're behind. You start realizing you're human. There is a secret reason some failures devastate you more than others. It is because certain failures confirm an old wound. I'm not lovable. I'm not smart enough. I always ruin things. People eventually leave. I'm destined for disappointment. Failure doesn't create these beliefs, it reveals them. Those wounds existed long before the event. Failure is just the mirror that finally shows them to you. Healing those wounds transforms your entire psychology. Suddenly, the same failures that once broke you now barely scratch the surface. Your emotional skin becomes thicker, wiser, calmer. Life divides into two paths, and the difference begins with a single question. What does this failure mean? Most people answer unconsciously. It means I'm not enough. It means I shouldn't try again. It means I'm weak. People who fail forward answer intentionally. It means I'm learning. It means I'm growing. It means I have to adjust. It means I am building resilience. Same event, different meaning, different life. You cannot control the setback, but you always control the story. And the story determines the path. The stories we tell ourselves. Failure ends quickly, but the story you tell yourself about your failure can last a lifetime. Human beings do not suffer from events. They suffer from interpretations, from meanings they create in silence, from stories that turn into beliefs, and beliefs that turn into identity. This chapter explores how we write and rewrite the internal stories that define who we believe we are. Most people think their identity is something fixed. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I'm not made for success. I can't handle pressure. But these are not facts. They are stories, stories created at moments of pain. No child is born believing they are a failure. The world teaches them. A teacher's harsh words, a parent's expectations, a moment of public embarrassment, a dream that fell apart too early. These moments don't define you. They shape the narrative you unconsciously repeat. Identity is simply the story you rehearse often enough that it starts to feel like truth. But stories can be rewritten. Inside every mind, there are two voices. The inner narrator. This is the voice that explains the world to you. It tells you what happened, why it happened, and what it means about you. The inner critic. This voice is much louder. It says, you should have known better. Why did you try that? You embarrassed yourself. You'll never succeed. The critic is not evil. It is afraid. It believes it must protect you by keeping you from trying again. But a protective voice can become a prison warden. The critic locks you inside the memory of your worst moments. The narrator, however, can lead you out, if you let it speak. When you define yourself by a single failure, your entire life shrinks to one narrative. I failed once, therefore I am a failure. But this is like reading one page of a book, and assuming you know the entire story. Every person is a library of experiences. Every life is made of thousands of stories. Yet failure has a strange power. It tries to become the only story you remember. It tries to convince you that one moment can erase your entire identity. But no story, no matter how painful, can contain the whole truth of who you are. Unless you allow it. Some stories are not yours, but you carry them as if they were. Stories like, you have to be perfect. You must not disappoint anyone. You cannot fail. You need to prove your worth. Love must be earned. Who taught you these stories? A parent? A culture? A society obsessed with achievement? A world that values success over humanity? You didn't choose these stories, but they control your choices. You didn't write them, yet they shape your destiny. Freedom begins when you recognize that not every belief inside you belongs to you. Some are hand-me-downs from people who were carrying their own fears. Failure plants lies in the mind. I am alone. Nobody understands. I will never recover. Everyone else is moving forward except me. It's too late. These lies survive because they sound familiar. Because they match your emotional landscape. Because pain makes them feel true. But truth is not based on emotion. Truth is based on possibility. And possibility remains open even when you feel broken. You can be lost and still be on the path. You can fear and still move forward. You can fail and still become someone powerful. The lies of failure are loud, but the truth is steady. You are more than what happened to you. What if failure isn't the opposite of success, but a part of it? What if falling is not a sign of weakness, but a doorway to understanding? What if failure isn't the end of the road, but a correction of direction? Philosophers have long debated the nature of failure. Stoics believed failure is a perception, not a reality. Existentialists believed failure is proof of freedom. You cannot fail unless you're trying to create meaning. Mystics believed failure is a teacher disguised as loss. So the question becomes, who are you when the world takes something from you? The answer is written not in your success, but in your resilience. Changing your story doesn't mean erasing what happened. It means giving it a new meaning. Instead of, I failed because I'm weak, you can say, I failed because I'm learning. Instead of, I'm not good enough, you can say, I'm becoming better. Instead of, people will judge me, you can say, the right people will understand. Courage is not pretending you're unhurt. Courage is telling the truth without letting it chain you. It is saying, this is what happened, but it is not who I am. The strategy of reinvention. Reinvention is not about becoming someone new. It is about finally having the courage to become who you truly were all along. Most people live their lives wearing borrowed identities, expectations from family, society, culture, or fear. When failure enters their life, it shakes those masks. It shows them the truth that was hiding under the surface. Failure is not the end of your identity, it is the beginning of your authentic one. In this chapter, we explore how to rebuild yourself with clarity, purpose, and strength. We look at the psychology of change, the philosophy of self-transformation, and the strategic steps that turn pain into progress. Every transformation starts with a symbolic death, the death of an illusion, a false belief, a role you played, a story you clung to. Sometimes it is painful, sometimes it feels like losing everything familiar. But in truth, you are not losing yourself, you are losing the parts of you that were holding you back. 3 things that must die for reinvention to begin. The old narrative. The story that says, I can't. I'm not capable. It's too late for me. The old identity. The version of you shaped by fear, doubt, or expectations. The old environment. People, habits, places, and patterns that feed your limitations. Only when these dissolve can the new self emerge with clarity. Most people think identity is fixed. Philosophy says otherwise. You are not a static thing. You are a process. You are always in motion, even when you feel stuck. Heraclitus said, no man steps in the same river twice. Because both the man and the river have changed. Reinvention begins when you accept this truth. You are allowed to change. You are supposed to change. You were built to change. You do not fail because you are broken. You fail because you are evolving. Reinvention is both an inner process and an outer action. It has 4 stages. Stage 1, awareness. Knowing what must change. Most people want to change their results. But results are symptoms. The real change happens at the level of beliefs, identity, habits, values, fear, expectations. Ask yourself, where am I holding myself back? What belief limits me the most? What identity am I afraid to outgrow? What habits belong to the old me? Awareness is uncomfortable, but without it, reinvention is blind. Stage 2, vision, creating the future self. You cannot reinvent without a direction. Imagine your future self in detail. How do they think? What do they believe? What habits do they follow? What boundaries do they protect? What lifestyle do they live? What challenges do they face with confidence? What do they no longer tolerate? This vision becomes your compass, especially in dark moments. Because reinvention is not about motivation. It is about direction. Stage 3, action. Building the bridge between you and you. Reinvention is not instant. It is built through small, consistent actions that accumulate over time. The world loves dramatic transformations, but the truth is simple. Change happens quietly. Change happens slowly. Change happens daily. Examples of reinvention actions: waking up earlier, reading new ideas, cutting toxic ties, learning a new skill, speaking with more confidence, showing up even when afraid, creating instead of consuming, practicing discipline instead of excuses. These small actions slowly kill the old self and feed the new one. Stage 4, embodiment. Becoming the new you. This is the most difficult stage. In the beginning, the new you feels uncomfortable, like wearing clothes too big for your body. You doubt, You question, you hesitate, but with time, the new you becomes natural. This is where self-respect grows. Momentum grows. Confidence grows. Reinvention becomes your new normal. Reinvention is beautiful, but it is not painless. It requires sacrifice. You will lose people, not because you are wrong, but because you are growing. You will face loneliness, not because you are empty, but because you are rebuilding your inner world. You will feel fear. Fear is a sign that you are entering a new level of yourself. You will feel doubt. Doubt means you are doing something unfamiliar. These are not signs to stop. They are signs that reinvention is working. When you reinvent yourself, you develop a deeper type of dignity, the kind that comes from witnessing your own evolution. You begin to say, I deserve better. I am capable of more. I am no longer who I used to be. I am the architect of my future. Self-respect becomes your anchor. It keeps you from returning to old patterns. It keeps you grounded when others do not understand your growth. It keeps you moving when failure whispers softly in the dark. Becoming unbreakable. Strength is not measured by how much you can carry. It is measured by how much you can recover. Life does not reward the person who never falls. It rewards the one who learns how to rise, over and over again, until rising becomes something natural, almost effortless, almost sacred. This chapter is about resilience, not as a cliché, but as a philosophy and a way of living. It is about building a life where failure does not destroy you, because you have learned how to become unbreakable from the inside out. Being unbreakable is not about being invincible. It is about being rebuildable. Glass breaks. Steel bends and returns to form. An unbreakable person is not someone who never experiences pain. They simply don't let pain define who they are. To be unbreakable is to be flexible when life changes direction. Calm in moments of chaos. Inner anchored when everything outside is unstable. Focused when distractions try to pull you apart. Hopeful even when the horizon disappears in the fog. Unbreakable people bend, shake, tremble, doubt, but they never collapse. No one is born strong. Strength is a craft. You build it through experiences, through failures, through surviving moments where you thought you were finished. Every hardship you lived through added a layer of mental armor. Every disappointment sharpened your perception. Every fear you confronted carved deeper wisdom into your soul. Resilience is not a gift. It is a construction, and you have been constructing it your entire life, even when you didn't know it. To become unbreakable, you must build your inner world with intention. You need architecture, a structure that supports you in moments of collapse. The 4 pillars of inner strength. Pillar 1, mental clarity. A foggy mind is fragile. A clear mind is powerful. Mental clarity comes from understanding your priorities, knowing your values, defining what truly matters, protecting your attention, removing unnecessary noise. Clarity transforms chaos into direction. Pillar 2, emotional stability. You cannot control your emotions, but you can learn how to hold them. Emotional stability is not emotional suppression. It is emotional maturity. You observe your fear without obeying it. You feel anger without becoming it. You experience sadness without drowning in it. You let emotions pass through you like wind through open hands, felt, acknowledged, released. Pillar 3, physical grounding. The body is the first home of the mind. If the body collapses, the mind follows. Physical grounding does not require perfection. It requires consistency, movement, rest, breath, nourishment, stillness. A strong body makes courage easier. A rested body makes clarity simpler. Your physical foundation holds your emotional and mental structure together. Pillar 4, spiritual perspective. Whether spiritual, philosophical, or existential, you must have a reason bigger than the pain you face. People collapse not because the burden is too heavy, but because they carry it alone, without meaning. Spiritual perspective gives you purpose, connection, humility, hope, acceptance. It reminds you that your journey is larger than this moment. 4. How to rise after every fall. The difference between the strong and the broken is not luck, it is the process they follow when they fall. Here is the 4-step model used by the most resilient people. Step 1. Pause instead of panicking. When something goes wrong, the instinct is to react, rush, fix, panic. But strength begins with stillness. Breathe, pause, witness the storm before you try to navigate it. A calm mind makes sharper decisions than a desperate one. Step 2. Look reality in the eye. Most people suffer twice. Once from the problem, and again from running away from the problem. Facing reality is not easy, but avoiding it makes it worse. Look directly at what happened, what you feared, what you lost, what you learned, what still remains. Clarity dissolves fear. Step 3. Extract the lesson, not the scar. Failure can give you wisdom, or it can give you trauma. The difference is interpretation. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Lessons lighten you, scars harden you. Choose the lesson. Step 4. Rebuild, slowly but surely. Strength is not the speed of recovery. It is the quality of recovery. Rebuild piece by piece. Restore your routines, reconnect with your goals, renew your habits, reclaim your confidence, recenter your mind. Each small action reaffirms, "I am not finished. I am becoming stronger." People think strength is loud. But true strength is quiet. There is power in continuing when no one notices, believing when no one supports you, trying when no one expects you to, growing when no one understands you, healing when no one applauds you. Unbreakable people do not need permission. They do not need validation. They do not need applause. They keep going because their spirit refuses to stop. The previous chapter taught you how to reinvent yourself. This chapter teaches you how to withstand anything. When you combine both, you become unstoppable. Reinvention gives you direction. Resilience gives you endurance. Reinvention gives you vision. Resilience gives you strength. Reinvention gives you possibility. Resilience gives you certainty. When you master both, failure loses its power. Life will test you. People will misunderstand you. Circumstances will challenge you. Plans will break. Dreams will shake. But when you become unbreakable, you bend with life, you adapt without collapsing, you trust your foundation, you rise every time you fall, you stay rooted in your truth, you protect your inner peace. Strength becomes your nature. Courage becomes your language. Hope becomes your home. To be unbreakable is to honor your humanity, your fears, your doubts, your imperfections, while refusing to be defined by them. It is choosing growth over fear, clarity over confusion, wisdom over reaction, resilience over defeat. You are not unbreakable because nothing hurts you. You are unbreakable because nothing controls you. You rise by choice, you grow by intention, you continue by courage. This is the final evolution of your journey. This is the heart of Don't Feel Failure. This is the beginning of your unbreakable life. Thank you guys for good listening. Hope you're enjoyed. I'm going to see you soon, and have nice a day.